Ignition sequence start. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. All engine running. Liftoff. We have a liftoff. 32 minutes past the hour. Liftoff on Apollo 11.
Good morning, episode 68. Well, it's not really morning and it's not Monday. It's Tuesday afternoon, around 3:45 in the afternoon. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Standing Brothers podcast, or show, or you want to call it. So, yeah, how about that new logo, folks? You dig? It's totally in my bag. That was made for us by Jacob, or yours truly over there, sitting next to me. He spent way too much time on it. He made it probably way harder than it needed to be. But you know what? It's up there, and it looks freaking fantastic. More to that. There's also a new thing called a teespring.com where you can get merch for the show. I know. So if you want that gorgeous, gorgeous logo that Jacob was so gracious to make for us, you can get a t-shirt. You can get mugs. You can get tumblers. You can get stickers. I mean, stickers are awesome. I mean, come on, right? So if that's your bag, if you want some show swag, and you want to throw us some shekels, you want to throw us some silver, throw us some money, whatever, our way. Hey, I'll take it. So if you dig, that would be awesome. Yeah. Oh, and another thing. If you want to continue to support the show financially on a bi-monthly or on a monthly basis, join the website. Join Patreon.
Is that what we're calling it now?
Yeah.
Join the website. Join
the website. There'll be a description in the link below for all the store, for the merch and whatever, and for Patreon. So if you like the quasi-quality content that you're getting here,
that's right.
The glorification of mediocre reporting. Please, I beg of you, send us $5 a month.
Yeah, so all the money that we get from Patreon and from all the T-shirts that we're gonna make are gonna go back into the show.
That's right.
So right now, whatever money we're gonna make, because we're operating this thing at a loss right now. I eventually want to get a domain name for an eventual website that can centralize everything on, and then a domain name for the Teespring store. But also for our podcasting hosting as well. So once we get a certain point, whenever all of the bills are paid for it, then we can start looking at getting some upgrades and stuff like that. Just letting the money roll over.
Yeah. So we only need 3 Patreon subscribers to make the monthly payment for the hosting site.
Yes.
So we're already up to 2. So hey, that's great.
Yeah.
I had nothing I was gonna say, but and for the rest of you schmucks who just want to get the show a day late, that's on you. So if you don't want
a bunch of
freeloaders.
But it was funny whenever I was doing the design for the T-shirt and I was getting it ready. For some reason, Teespring doesn't allow me to put copyrighted names.
Imagine that.
Oh, no. Copyrighted names into the item description, because what I originally wanted to write, and I may eventually figure a way to type it better that way it doesn't use copyrighted. But I said, I was gonna write this for the description of the standard T-shirt. I said one day you wake up at one morning you wake up and you walk in your front yard and you see a flying DeLorean and a flying Lamborghini Countach, and they land in front of you, and inside Murray Rothbard and Ron Paul walk out, throw you the shirt, and say, "Get in if you want to end the Fed."
Oh, that's.
But apparently, DeLorean and Lamborghini were
copyrighted.
That. I know.
Imagine that.
Well, I don't know why I wouldn't get through, and they eventually told me, like, yeah, I can't have those in an item description, which I get. I get, but
so the moral of the story is, don't be a schmuck. Join the website. Support us monthly if you feel so compelled. If not, then okay, fine. But I would still ask you to share the show, email us, follow us on the Tweety. You can follow me at Joe Stanberg, and you follow this guy at
JStanders_.
Right. Is all the housekeeping I need to take care of?
I think that's good. You know what? You did a good job, Joe.
Thank you.
You did a great job.
Thank
I'm proud
you.
of you.
Who's also doing a good job right now? Well, I mean, depending on who you ask. Do you know Jacob?
He was doing a great job.
Yeah.
I no.
You hitting a blank?
I'm hitting a blank.
Are you?
I feel like Biden right now. You know the thing. Yeah.
So you don't know who's doing a good job right now.
No.
So it's depending on who you ask. So as of, let's see, this would have been yesterday, the governor, Miriam Cuomo, announced they're launching the Accelerator Pass, a free voluntary program developed in partnership with IBM, which they're using a blockchain kind of system, which utilizes proven secure technology to confirm an individual's secret negative test. So what am I talking about, Jacob? What am I talking about? I'm talking about the COVID vaccine passport. That's right. In New York City, they're rolling out the COVID vaccine passport. They went from the Empire State, where anybody can make it here, to papers, please.
Papers, please.
So this is a huge story that's blowing up right now. I mean, it's all over the internet. I mean, you turn on the internet, and it's all over there.
You turn on the internet?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so the Biden administration is developing a national coronavirus vaccine passport, in quotes, thank you, Business Insider, program for Americans. So what this is that you would basically be based off the blockchain. All the major IBM and other corporations are using blockchain, and they're going to keep it safe, keep it local, make sure the people who don't need to know your business don't know your business. But if you want to get on an airplane or go to a concert venue or do whatever, you have to, papers, please, and show that you have gotten the vaccine. Now, does this sound scary at all? The Babylon Bee, which is a complete satire site, but it is, a little bit funny because there is a shred of truth to it, is that, the next extension from the app on your phone will be the barcode on your wrist or on your forehead. Now, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. Before we move on with this, don't get me wrong. Am I anti-COVID vaccines? No, I am not. If you want to get the vaccine, fine. But I don't care if it's a private business or if it's the government. You don't have any right to mandate that someone has a vaccine, right? I don't think schools should mandate vaccines. I don't think anybody should mandate a vaccine, especially the government. No one should mandate a vaccine. Now, if you want to have a rule saying, we would like, if you're going to use our services on an airplane, we would encourage you to get a vaccine. That's fine. I don't care. I don't care if Joe Biden came out and said, I encourage everyone to get a vaccine. Don't have any problem with that. Don't. But you should not be forced to get a vaccine, or any kind of vaccine, not just a COVID vaccine, but any vaccine. So what this is all stemming to is that they know that they can't just come out and say mandatory everyone has to get a vaccine, right? Just a couple of days ago, Biden said that states should re-implement their mandatory mask mandates, because he knows at a federal level he cannot do that. He can sign a piece of paper saying that, but he knows people like Ron DeSantis are not going to go along with that. Now, the schmucks in Georgia or in Texas may be a little squeamish on it because they're losers. I'm looking at Brian Kemp and Governor Abbott, who won't stand for the flag or the national anthem. That loser. But it's amazing that it's amazing the fact that they know they can't do this, right? So they're going to get with their partners in the big businesses. I'm looking at you, Amazon and Delta and American Airlines and all these Live Nation, all these concert venues, right? They're saying, you can't come in or use our services unless you prove, papers please, that you have gotten your COVID vaccine by way of mandating a vaccine. Now, Joe, you're probably saying, is this a stretch? Am I stretching? Am I pulling at strings? Am I drawing straws here? Am I reading a little more into this than I should be? Possibly. That very well could be the case. But when all these people say, "Oh, this is the free market acting," no, it's not. No, it's not. This is the furthest thing from it. When you have Joe Biden, the president, and all the people at the CDC and the HHS and all, Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx, all these people saying, hey, get the vaccine. Oh, we support companies and major corporations saying you can't use our services or use our products unless you have the vaccine. We support that. Do you know what that's called? Does anybody know what that's called? Do you know what that's called, Jacob?
Fascism.
Yeah, thank you. So the anti-fascist woke president is now getting in bed with corporations and the big banks and everybody to force you, not with a gun at your head, but with your pocketbook and your entertainment and your leisure time, to get the vaccine. I'm sorry, folks, but that's wrong. And that should not be the case. I don't care if the coronavirus was the Black Plague. Don't care. Don't care one bit. They have no right to force anything on you, right? Now we have lived through 2020, right? The Constitution says, or at least it supposedly says,
air quotes,
that you have the right to assemble, peaceably assemble. And that could be anywhere. It could be a church, it could be in a store, it could be anywhere, right? Well, the government came along and said, oh, well, there's this pandemic and, you can't be at church because, well, you cannot ensure, you cannot ensure that people be socially distancing. You can't guarantee mask wearing. So we're going to have to close you down. Sorry. The small business owner, you can't, your company, your store is too small. You can't make sure there's enough socially distancing. I'm sorry. Well, you got to close. Sorry. Got to close, right? Yep, they did that. Yeah, that happened. 2020 was the closest thing that this country ever came to as far as some kind of real persecution against people of faith. And that goes for all faiths, not just Christianity or Judaism, but all faiths. Because they physically made it illegal for you to meet. So what's it going to take for these people to stand up and say no? Because this is the Patriot Act 2.0. Because if they're making it illegal for you to travel from state to state, if you can't even go into New York if you live somewhere else and see your loved ones because you don't have Papers, Please, it's not on your little app that you haven't been vaccinated, that's not okay. That's not everyone. This is so easy, right? The Libertarian Party said, no one. The lockdowns are bad, and the vaccine should be voluntary. But it's a good idea to wear a mask, right? It's a good idea to put the pacifier in your mouth. And then they came out basically said the same thing about the passports. Oh, it's not a good idea, but it's still a good idea to get the vaccine. No. It's fine. You can get the vaccine if you want, but this should be easy for everyone to understand. Mandatory anything, whether it's taxation or vaccines or the voluntary mandatory gun buyback programs.
Yeah, honestly.
No, that should not be a thing, folks. So this should be easy for everyone to say, yeah, that's crazy. And even if you take the vaccine, if you take the COVID seriously, if you still have not left your house because you're scared, if you're still buying everything from Amazon and have it dropped off at your door, if you refuse to go outside and walk in a park by yourself, you too, Howie, eating sunscreen, you too should resist this at every level, because I can guarantee you it won't stop there. It won't. Remember the Patriot Act was supposed to keep us all safe? And everybody knows that TSA sucks, right? What is it, like 90% of all tests they do on the TSA fail?
Yeah, most of them fail. Most of them fail to find and detect anything.
Yeah. So there's your in the Department of Homeland Security. That is nowhere in the Constitution, but yet there it is, right? James Clapper said they weren't spying on you, not explicitly, but you know what? Collecting everyone's phone records. Thank you, Edward Snowden. So this is the abolishment of privacy of your health. That's what it is. Now, I don't care. People are like, well, if you got nothing to hide, what's the big deal? What's the big deal? No, that is a big deal. I'm sorry, it is a big deal, because I thought all you lefties and all you progressives supported HIPAA laws. It ain't your business what operations I've had done. It ain't your business what my health is. Butt out. I'm my own. My body, my choice.
My body, my choice.
My body, my choice. Unless it's the vaccine, it's your body, your choice. When it comes to anything else, unless you got the jab.
In that case, then it is the right of every single business that you go into. It's their right to know whether or not you've had this medical procedure done, which is, that's what getting a vaccine is getting a medical procedure. To a large degree with everything you said, to point out the one part whenever people on Twitter, especially people who are defending this, are saying that, oh, this is only for temporary, or it's not going to link to your payment account, or it'll only be for certain things. It's not going to be for everything. These are the same people who said, 14 days to flatten the curve.
That's right.
And who said that we'll get back to life in 2 weeks, and that all of these predictions that all these idiots have made when it comes to states like Florida and states like Texas and Georgia and everyone else who didn't go along with all these mitigation methods were all wrong. So, I have been from the standpoint of with these passports that I didn't talk about them a whole lot, mainly because I had no evidence to support that they're coming. But I always said, hey, you have got these people up into a frenzy where many of them are like, fine, just whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that I saw a ad in the Wall Street Journal. Wall Street Journal. This is a mainstream paper, a paper of record. A few months ago with an advertisement for an app that would hold your medical information and had a barcode that you could scan it. Ad in the Wall Street Journal.
That's what they're largely doing in New York.
So, for everybody who is defending this or who's saying that, oh, this is not a big deal, don't worry about it. These are the same useful idiots who said, oh, don't worry about COVID. Don't worry about it. It's only 14 days. What are you complaining about? It's only, these idiots also who said that, well, if everyone just wore a mask, or we had like 90% mask compliance, then COVID would go away.
I am channeling. I'm reaching beyond the grave. I am channeling the words of Milton Friedman. And he once so famously said that there's nothing so permanent as a temporary government program. So what's funny to me, what's hilarious to me, the progressives, the people who push the vaccine, or who are largely in support of the vaccine passport, are all the same people that hate the big corporations.
Mm-hmm.
But yet they're okay with IBM, specifically in New York City, or New York, having access to everyone's medical information. Now, I'm sure they're going to spin some kind of tale about how it's all blockchain and no one's really allowed to access it. That's that. Do you really believe that? Does anybody really believe that? So the people that say don't trust corporations, the CEOs steal from their employees. Oh, but we can trust them with our medical information. Right? They're exploiting the working class by not giving anyone a livable wage. Oh, but it's okay if they know I have cancer. It's okay. It's okay if they know that I haven't been vaccinated. That's okay. Yeah. It's hypocrisy to the highest level.
It's this should be the absolute moment. If the lockdowns weren't, and again, this doesn't leave me much faith into the Libertarian Party, but this should be the hill to die on,
it's a slam dunk.
As Dave Smith said, this should be a slam dunk for all libertarians. Everyone that I follow, all the non-woke, useless libertarians, or the fakeitarians, as what they call themselves, whatever.
The lol.
Yes, the lulpertarians are absolutely dunking and ratioing the crap out of this thing as it should be. I know that the official Twitter account of the Libertarian Party of Kentucky said, are the vaccine passports going to be yellow and shaped like a star and sewn on our clothes? I mean, Justin Amaj said, no vaccine passport doesn't get much more dystopian than that, requiring to your health papers wherever you go. 100% right. I mean, this is the papers, please. Yes. I mean, this is 100% the papers, please.
Another way to think about it is if, let's say there was a world where the United States got invaded by some foreign country, China, Russia, whatever. Take your pick. Let's say it was Zimbabwe, invaded the United States. And as a way to distinguish between natural-born citizens of the country that invaded you and the people that were born here in the United States, they made you wear some kind of thing on your clothes, or they made you have some kind of application on your phone saying this is who you are and where you live. Everyone would say, yeah, that's not cool. Yeah, nah, I don't really like that. No different here. No different here. Another point I was going to make about this that was just so good.
If
it is now.
If I know that trending on Twitter right now is the hashtag Mark of the Beast. I did want to just briefly touch on that. Is this some sort of that nature? I have no idea. I don't know. What I will say is that whenever you give the last little bit of freedom that you have left, last little bit of liberty you have left, it used to be, I mean, we already have given up, unwillingly or willingly given up our privacy when it comes to communication. That's basically gone. We have given up our liberty and our freedom when it comes to monetary values, money. People are robbed at a gunpoint every single year. So you've given up your communications with other people. You've given up your money in your own self. And now you're going to give up your autonomy as a person. Like, your literal autonomy. Because what are they going to do with this vaccine passport if it ever becomes mainstream, if it leaves? I know that DeSantis is saying that he's going to block it and say that it's not going to be valid here.
That should be so easy to do.
Yeah, as well. Every governor who does not do that and does not say, yeah, we're not going to recognize any of these vaccine passports as far as we're concerned. So we're not going to enforce them to that degree. If anyone is not doing that, then you know what to do as far as voting, as far as I'm concerned. But another thing was the government is going to coerce these businesses to implement this kind of thing. They're not going to be able to do it. There's no way that a government is going to be able to mandate a vaccine as far as legally right now. They don't have the legal rights to do that. But what they're going to do is that they're going to make this platform possible, and then they're going to coerce these businesses to follow these.
Right. It's the same way with all the COVID-19
yes, exactly right.
Recommendations, the 6 feet, social distancing, the mask, all of that. None of that was ever a law. They were just recommendations. And anytime some governor mandated, he had legit zero authority to actually do that, to mandate his entire state wear a mask or remain socially distant. No authority to do that whatsoever. So what's funny is, the whole mark of the beast thing, I guess, came from Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was saying that this COVID passport is the mark of the beast. Now, again, if you had said a year ago today that we were going to have there was talks of a COVID-19 or a vaccine.
Not even talks, like they are doing it. They are researching
right.
how to build this thing.
Even if it was just talk of a COVID a vaccine passport, everyone would say, "Oh, you're crazy, you're a nut job, you're a wacko."
I was told that.
Right. Well, we were told that the lockdowns were going to work, and we all said, "No, they're not," and we were largely kind of right. But that kind of stuff just kind of builds the conspiracy theory. And so anytime that you have the idea of, if you want to go from one state to the next, or just to get on a domestic airplane, that you have to fork over your papers, please, doesn't that just lead to conspiracies? Can people just take off the glasses just for 1 second and look at the world honestly and say, hey, maybe this is a little strange? Because if you can't look at the world honestly and say, you know what, maybe I might be wrong here, then you're basically living in your own little bubble. It's true. And so this lady, one of those trending tweets, said that Marjorie Taylor Greene has said the vaccine is the mark of the beast, in big air quotes, right? And she's allowed to own an AR-15. Ooh, smoked him, got him.
That's it.
Got him.
How do you do that? It's.
Oh, here's a better one, Jacob. If anything is the mark of the beast, it's a MAGA hat.
Oh, I saw that.
The real mark of the beast.
The real mark of the beast. That's right. A cotton hat. That's it. You got it. That's a cotton hat that I guess you're able to. I mean, I've gone and bought and I have gone and I have bought and sold things without a MAGA hat on. So,
doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I don't
once
see
again,
that.
These people have never read the Bible. Just gonna throw that out there. Never have even taken a gander at the word. You know what's also interesting is that I don't think it's at all convenient that we just entered in. If you are Jewish, this is Passover week, right? This Passover started last weekend. We're going into the Holy Week, and we're going into Good Friday, and then Sunday is Easter. So I don't think it's at all a convenient that the same week that Passover starts, those Satan shoes were released by that rapper. Have you seen those?
Yeah, they're so stupid.
They're so stupid. Didn't he? I think he illegally took the Nike trademark and put it on those shoes because as dumb as Nike is, they're smart enough not to be any way associated with the Satan shoes.
Well, I mean, they're not. Nike is one of the just love them or hate them. They're one of the most intelligent, well-ran clothing brands in the whole world, probably if not the best. So they're not that stupid.
Yeah.
To publicly endorse something like that they know is not only going to get hate from obviously the religious right, a lot of people, but a lot of people are just like, just poor taste.
Why?
Poor taste.
Why?
And Nike does a lot of bad things when they do, when they bring in social politics into their ads, into their clothing and stuff like that. But this is a clear, probably just good, better, best, probably not even just good.
So what I don't understand is that, you have the shoes come out, you got the vaccine passport coming out, you all on the holiest of holy weeks that for most people in Christendom and Judaism, or I don't know if Muslims do anything on Easter.
I don't know.
I
doubt it because they don't believe that Christ was the
right.
Messiah. So
I'm not a Muslim, or a Muslim, or I'm no way believe in Islam or anything. So I don't know. But I don't think it's a convenient at all that this all happens within a week or two of Easter coming upon us, which is interesting because what does it say about a culture or a society that people would even think it'd be okay to do a music video where you're literally engaging in those acts with the literal devil, and you have shoes that have pentagrams on them, and there's a drop of human blood in the soles of the shoes or whatever. What about the culture that we are currently in says that's even somewhat okay? That people would even entertain the idea of, hey, that might be a good idea. People might want to buy those. I don't know.
I mean, as far as the human blood thing, that's not that uncommon for certain forms of art. I know that there's many of artists who they will sometimes use their own blood in their own art as a way that say, hey, you can. It's weird, I know, but
it's strange.
But you can own a piece of me. I know that there was a special edition of the Ibanez Gem that Steve Vai did, where he took parts of his, and then they would paint a certain portion of the guitar's design. It was called like the DNA edition or whatever. So I mean, that's not uncommon, but I mean, obviously everything else is it just adds to the factor.
But I think it's a little bit different because Steve Vai was not creating a Satan
guitar.
He's
not. It was called the DNA. I think it's called the DNA edition.
Right.
And it was like they only made like 20 of them, and they were special editions, and you literally owned a piece of Steve Vai because his DNA was built.
That's still a little weird, but
it is.
But it's a whole nother level when you take it to Satan shoes. And of course, everyone's like, oh, this, some people are complaining about how it's Satanism, what this is, and people are like, oh, Satanism, that's hilarious. It's a good thing that America's becoming less religious and less traditional. And it's like, I don't know if that's such a good idea or not. I mean, you don't have to agree with Christianity or Judaism or any type of morals or anything, but I don't think embracing or not modernizing, but not familiarizing, but what's the other word for that? What's the word? I don't know. But embracing Satanism or making that just like an everyday thing, I don't think that's really a good idea, because I don't think people really understand what they're dealing with all that stuff. But who am I? I'm just some 23-year-old schmuck who talks into a microphone and cannot spell on Twitter. So, got anything else on that vaccine passport thing, Jacob?
No, I just there was funny. There was one tweet interaction I had whenever as I've said on Twitter and I've said on other places as well, that the photos of people with their vaccine cards or whatever saying that proof that they got one, I said that those are the new I voted pictures, and people post a picture of themselves on social media with a I just voted sticker. It's the same thing now. It's just, hey, look at me. You should probably go do this too. I don't have an issue with that. I just think it's like very, very cringy. Then again, I think a lot of things on the internet are very, very cringy. This just adds to my list. But somebody on Twitter sent me the cardstock image where you can literally print it out on cardstock and then just write whatever the heck you want onto it. And then he was sending them out to all these other people. So if you wanted to, get a COVID vaccine blank, because people were like, hey, you can easily just fake this.
Yeah.
It's just a piece of paper. Just get some good high quality cardstock, print that sucker out, and then just scribble a bunch of garbage. Because do you think that because on a cardstock, right? Do you think that any hotel is gonna have access to the database of Georgia's vaccination database? No, they're gonna look at that and be like, "Ooh, Dr. Toboggan gave you a vaccine on February 31st, 2021. Oh, that looks good to me."
Send them on through.
Yeah. So, this'll, if it is a paper, this will easily be faked. This is gonna be the fakest thing. Look, I'll do one.
Yeah.
But a digital, little different story. But there's gonna be ways to get around this. I got a feeling.
It's like today I went to several different stores. I was out shopping and buying stuff today, and I didn't wear a mask in hardly any of the stores. The shoe store I went into, they have a mask requirement, and I just
walked right in.
Sorry, sucker. And then we went to Sam's, and they have again Sam's. They have a mask mandate there, and I just walked in without one. Nobody said anything, and of course, 99% of the people in the store had one on, and they all gave me the dirty look. And I'm like, you know what? I just don't care. Yeah. I'm sorry that you're offended that I don't have a pacifier in my mouth like yourself. So
yeah, I just
So you know what's funny, Jacob?
What's that?
You mentioned voting.
I did mention voting.
You said the word vote.
I said the word vote.
And you know who just signed a bill that was voted on just this last week?
A voting bill that was voted on?
A voting bill that was voted on, that was signed by a particular loser governor.
Brian Kemp.
There you go.
You're talking about the Georgia Jim Crow 2.0 voting act.
Yeah. So last week, Republican Governor Brian Kemp signs the Georgia's new voting law, and it's being accused of being Jim Crow 2.0. It's being accused because it's racist, because it limits the voting booth openings or poll openings on the weekend. So a lot of African American churches and pastors would organize called Souls to the Polls, or they would all get a big group together and go vote on Sundays because that's what people do. So it limits those hours, things like that. But here's the big kicker, right? So the law specifically imposes new voter identification requirements for absentee ballots. It also empowers state officials to take over local election boards, limits the use of drop box ballots, and makes it a crime to approach voters in line to give them food and water. Now, the last one, why is that even a thing? Why? If you're saying, well, it's because people might be bribed, I'm sorry, but you literally had a president running for re-election saying he's going to give everybody free money. So if you're worried about bribing someone, maybe you should start there.
Well, here's their fear about something like that is if you were to this happens a lot as far as they go and get a big bus of people and they take them to the polls, right? They'll do this in the homeless community and a lot of the more disenfranchised community. Is that they'll be like, hey, come vote for us, and on the way we're gonna watch a video about how my candidate is the best, and I'm gonna give you water bottles and a little sack lunch with that person's name on it. To someone like that, they might have a bit of a sway.
Okay, I can take that.
Or if you're in line and you're a poll worker,
that's not what the law
no,
stipulates.
Let me continue that. They do that, and while you're in line in these long lines, I'm doing quotation marks, long lines. If you have someone who's working for the campaign that says, "Hey, have a Joe Biden bottle of water." Oh, and don't let this influence you or anything, but I know it's really hot out here, or it's very, very cold out here. Have this cup of coffee that has Joe Biden on the cup. That will not influence you at all. But
Again, though,
have that.
Again, though, is that possible?
But is this an issue? Like,
No.
is there an issue with this happening? I'm not. What I'm saying is that's the argument for
Right.
why this is happening. But is there a widespread issue, or is this going to be an issue now where we're going to be locking people up because there was widespread people giving food out in line?
Well, there's a stipulation where you have to be so many feet away from the polling place to where you are allowed to campaign or set up a food truck or anything like that. To me, that is completely arbitrary. 150 feet. Oh wow, because that really won't change anybody's mind if you're 149 feet versus 150 feet, because everyone's mind is changed at that distance. It's so stupid. It's so arbitrary. This is why voting and the way in democracy is just stupid. It's just stupid. If you think about it, I can guarantee you there are very, very few people that when they got to the polling place they were undecided. I can guarantee that number is so insignificant it's even stupid to talk about. But we're going to talk about it anyway. The vast majority, the 99.99% of people that went to vote already knowing who they were going to vote for. They were going to vote for Trump or they're going to vote for Biden. And they're going to vote for down party ticket, R's or D's, depending on who they voted for president. So if you voted D for Biden, you're going to vote party. Most likely, you're going to vote down party ticket. Or if you voted for Trump, you're going to most likely vote for Republican down party ticket. That's just the way it happens. So the idea, if you give me a Biden water bottle or a Trump water bottle that's somehow going to change your mind on who you're going to vote for, that is legitimately stupid. I'm sorry, but if you give the MAGA wearing hat wearing redneck a Biden water bottle, you say, get that crap out of my face. Or if you give the blue-haired, butch haircut, feminist the Trump water bottle, she can say, get that out of my face. No one, that doesn't change anybody's mind. It's so stupid. Now, let's put that aside because, as you can tell, now, having to present identification if you're going to do an absentee ballot, that to me just makes sense. It does. There's nothing racist about that. People will say, well, people who it's going to affect people who are disenfranchised, who don't have a whole lot of money. I'm sorry, but in a lot of states and a lot of places, they will give you an identification card for free. All you got to do is go online or drop it in the mailbox or whatever, say requesting your identification. And furthermore, if you cannot get a driver's license or some kind of state-issued identification, then you have no business voting in the first place. If you cannot take the minimal steps that it takes to register to vote, get the proper identification together to go vote, then I'm sorry, you're too stupid to vote. And if you can't afford it, I'm sorry, that's not an argument. No, that's not an argument. If you can go to getting a driver's license does not cost that much money. If you can go out to eat, or if you can buy clothes, or if you can go to Walmart, or if you can buy a car, I'm sorry, you can afford to get some kind of identification. I'm sorry, it's just the way it is. You can also do this thing what people call, that people used to do before the 21st century. It was called save money. So if you're constantly getting, shot up with drugs, maybe you take it, maybe you save some money and put the cocaine down for a while just so you can get your identification together. So that is not an argument. Now, do I agree with driver's license and state issue identification? Not necessarily. I don't necessarily agree with that. But if you want to ensure an election where there's no funny business going on, this would be a way to do that, right? Now, everyone says that they're pro-democracy. They want legitimacy, and they want checks and balances when it comes to voting. They want to make sure every vote counts. There's no fraud going on. I'm sorry, but no one really cares about that. No one really cares. When you run for a presidency or you run for, frankly, anything that is involved in politics, it's not the margin of error you have to overcome. It's the margin of fraud you have to overcome. That's just the way it is. So, for people that are pro-democracy, you would think that that they would love this idea. Now, is it going to disenfranchise some people? Maybe. The ballot drop boxes, again, so what? If you can't take the minimal steps it takes to make sure your voice is heard, whatever that means, then I'm sorry, then don't vote, or toughen up, get with the program. You have anything on that, Jacob?
I've always felt that the voting ID thing was such a stupid losing argument as far as the point of the left. I know this is a very boomer con, very conservative talking point, but look, name anything that you can do without some way to identify yourself. You can't buy alcohol. You can't get a loan. You can't get a job.
No.
So
can't get on an airplane.
So who are we talking about? Seriously, who are we talking about? These people. Like, I honestly want to know, because there is no number of these people that are being disenfranchised when it comes to voting or some kind of identification. You can't drive a car. Okay, so even if you're homeless, how do you buy alcohol? How do you buy cigarettes? How do you buy anything that requires you to be a certain age limit? To me, if you, as somebody who, again, I am very much against democracy. I think democracy should be condemned in the strongest terms possible. I'm also pretty much against state identification handed out through the state. But if you want to play by those rules and you want to follow all the institutions,
if this is the rules that we, quote, have all agreed to,
I can't see any other way on making sure that an election is secure by being able to properly identify yourself. I mean, voting isn't even a natural right. Like, you don't have a natural right to go and be a part of the political system in this nation, or any nation for that matter. It's not secured in the Bill of Rights. So for anybody. So for me, voting is one of those things where I have definitely seen that it is becoming, it's less and less important and vital, in my opinion. I know that Dave Smith did a fantastic podcast on this, and I largely do agree with him on what most of what he's saying. The people who can't even be bothered. Let's just say there is someone out there who has no state ID, right? Hasn't taken those initiated steps to go and get their identification, to go and to be a part of our society, if you want to do air quotes. That I'm going to go on a limb and just say they are probably not the most politically educated, well-informed. Why would I want that? Even if I did believe in this democracy, why would I want someone like that having a voice? Right? I'm just doing a new thing on Twitter now. When I see the most idiot takes on Twitter, I'm just quote tweeting them and saying that, hey, these people vote. There is a meme going around right now where it is a picture of Hitler and is a picture of FDR. And above Hitler it says fascist, and above FDR it says anti-fascists. Yes, FDR, the man who put American citizens in internment camps based solely on their race. That is so anti-fascist. Oh my gosh, so anti-fascist. The man who partnered with Stalin, right? People don't think about that in World War II. It's like, yeah, Hitler was bad and we ain't stopped him. At what cost, though? We had to partner with the Soviet Union, with Stalin, with communists who are at every metric just as bad as Hitler. If it was Russia committing the atrocities of the Holocaust and we partnered with Hitler to fight against Stalin, it'd be the same thing. There's no difference between the two men. They also could go into the whole economic fascism that he committed, but whatever. I'm not going to get into that. But these people vote. So, necessarily, more quote-unquote ballot access as far as making it easier for people to work does not do anything for me. Or, sorry, if it makes it easier for someone to vote, that doesn't do anything for me. Like, I'm not really gonna get up in arms about that. If they made it where you had to, if you made it where you had to wait, whatever. If they made it more difficult, they had more restrictions on it. Not impossible, but like, hey, you got to have an ID to show up. Sorry, you can't. No ID. I can't give you a ballot. Like, I think that's pretty reasonable. Like, I know this. Even as somebody who doesn't even like buy this entire system, I think that's still a pretty reasonable thing. Hey, son, you want to buy that beer? Well, show me some ID. I can't sell this.
Prove to me you're 21.
I can't sell this to you, man. Hey, do you want to vote? I can't give you.
Come on in. No,
I can't give you that. So necessarily, just more people voting. I hate this argument that we need more people involved in the system. We want more people involved in the system, right? That'll make things better.
More voices.
Just have more voices. Yeah, let's just get more ballot turnout. That's such a great thing, Joe. It's a fantastic thing to have more ballot turnout, because remember, we, as my example said on Twitter, with all these idiots that vote, these people who are complete morons and useful idiots have the same
right
political power as someone like myself and somebody who actually knows what the heck is going on.
Well, that's the last chapter I read in my government textbook was about voting in elections. And they said the biggest problem with elections and voting right now is that not enough people are voting. And I said, so what is exactly, if 100% of the voting age population, all those who are illegally of age to vote, if every single one of them voted, what exactly does that change? What changes? Honestly, what? Nothing. People will still be as, divisive. People will still be as divided. It just gets worse. So what exactly does that change? Nothing. Nothing changes. If only one person in each state voted for president, it's still as legitimate if every single person in each state voted for president. The Electoral College, that's how it works. And even if you had quote, direct democracy or a popular vote,
it would still work that way.
It still would work that way.
It would still be, if 10 people in each state voted and 7 voted for Trump and 3 voted for Biden, every single state, guess what? Trump becomes president. Or if all,
on the flip side,
if everybody everyone who is of age get registered to vote and voted the same exact way, 70-30, guess what? The results are still the same.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I do not understand the argument. This happens every single time before and after. I saw this last election whenever they were saying that, go vote. Go ask your neighbor. Take your neighbor. Go vote. Take your best friend and go vote. Go get your coworker to go vote. I'm like, why? What if they don't? What if they say, yeah, I hate both of these people. I don't want to vote for any of these idiots. Heck, the only reason I got up and decided to get my lazy carcass off my couch and go vote is because of Shane Hazel,
right.
Because he's the only one that actually only one that had anything like of substance to say and actually wanted to do something.
And that was the point that they made in the textbook that I'm being forced to read, is that doesn't matter particularly what you vote for, just go vote.
Yeah, that.
Well, okay, so if you yourself hold no set of any kind of principles as far as what you believe, you're just going to go in there and push or pull the lever or push the button on the screen. What exactly does that do? It doesn't do anything. It doesn't make democracy or the Electoral College or whatever system you have any more legitimate or illegitimate. You're just a mindless cog in the machine, bro. You're just a sheep, bro. It doesn't mean anything.
Dave brought a good point on this on his show, Part of the Problem. He said that argument is so fallible and so false because let's just say hypothetically that you have Mother Teresa and Adolf Hitler on the ballot as the only 2 major political parties, and they were both running. And someone said, well, it doesn't matter who you vote for, Joe. Just go vote. Just go vote. And you could apply that to 2020 or 2016. Whenever they said we have a literal fascist and a Hitler 2.0 on the ballot. Mainly people that push this, hey, just go vote, doesn't matter who, are the Democrats and are the people on the left. So when they say, hey, you know what, just go vote, doesn't matter who. It's like, okay, I'll vote for Trump. No, you can't vote for Trump. He's a fascist. He's evil. You can't vote for him. Vote for Biden. But don't let my opinion influence you. Just go vote. It doesn't matter who you vote for. Just don't vote for Trump.
I'll give you the bottle of water after you go vote.
Who'd you vote for? Trump? Get out of here.
Yeah,
Biden? Come on, man. Get your bottle of water.
Get your free bottle of water and your free chamois or slap chop, whatever they're giving out. Remember those?
Slap chop, the little vegetable cutter thing?
Yeah. Voting. It's it's your civic duty, Jacob.
This doesn't bother me. Like I had no reaction to this law being signed. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
so,
I'm not.
But then I have an alternative view on it. This is why I'm somewhat conflicted on it. Is that the main critique I have with conservatism and conservatives is that their whole goal is just to make the state smaller and more efficient. But I'm sorry, you can't make something that is the most inefficient institution ever known to man smaller and more efficient. It's just not possible. You cannot make government more efficient. It's not going to work. So their whole to fix the government, to fix America, Jacob, is just to make sure we have safe and fair elections.
Well, of course.
So I'm sorry, but if you make your elections more safe and more fair, but we're still running a $3.2 trillion deficit, what have you done? Nothing. You have done nothing. You lose. Good day, sir. So that's why conservatives like, well, if we just make government smaller and we just put the right people in charge, we'll
just vote better.
If we just vote better, there you go. So that's one thing I just don't agree with conservatives on. Like, well, we just gotta, make sure people don't vote in by mail. I said, okay, so you get rid of that. Joe Biden still got more votes than Donald Trump. Just the way it is.
We just gotta vote better, Joe.
Just the way the cookie crumbles. And even before, even in the 2016 election, I don't think people realized just how close the race was between Trump and the lizard person. I mean, Hillary.
That election, this election, both came down to a couple counties and within 500,000 votes.
Right. And again, I'm not saying there wasn't any fraud involved. There most likely was.
There was fraud involved. I just don't know what the extent it is.
Like I said earlier, you're not overcoming the margin of error or overcoming the margin of fraud to become president. And that's just the way it works throughout all forms of politics. And that's not just an American problem. That's just a political government problem that will never be fixed, because that's how the whole institution actually functions, is off fraud and waste and abuse. Because without it, if you suddenly interjected truth and honesty and forthrightness into government, the whole system would collapse, because that's just not how it works, which is kind of funny. I have got two more stories that I want to talk about, but we're already at 52 minutes. Should we just quickly do one and then
quickly do one? We got 5 minutes to do one.
Okay, all right. So I want everybody to picture in their mind. Picture in your mind. Close your eyes. If you're driving, close your eyes. I'm just kidding. Don't close your eyes if you're driving.
It's okay. Jesus got the wheel for you. Jesus has the wheel.
Shut up. Okay, so picture in your mind. You're in D.C., right? You're Washington, D.C.
Okay, mine is closed.
It's midday. It's on a Tuesday afternoon. You're near the Nationals Park.
Very, very nice.
Well, maybe you're near the Metropolitan Police Department, or no, I'm sorry. You're in Springfield, Missouri, which is not far from the Nationals Park baseball team. And you get your phone out, right? Because you actively see two teenage girls.
Oh, no.
Trying to carjack an Uber Eats driver.
Oh, gosh.
Right? So you're seeing this. They've got a taser. These two.
My word.
You get these two. They're 13 and 15, I do believe, is how old they were. Yeah, 13 and 15. They're tasering the guy because they're trying to carjack him.
Oh, my gosh.
And then you see the car starts to move. The car hits a phone. So the guy is standing outside the car with his hand on the door, on the inside of the door, and on the inside of the car. So he's standing on the outside of the door, where his head meets between the door jamb and the car. Right. So the car speeds away because they're trying to carjack him. They slam into a street light. Slams the door shut. Then they drive maybe about 100 yards down the road, and the car flips. He gets thrown from the car, hits the concrete wall, and is left on the ground twitching and shaking, right?
Oh, gosh.
Then you see the people who are taking the video run down the road, and they see the two teenage girls, again, 13 and 15, not trying to render aid to the guy that they just stole a car from, but they were complaining about how they couldn't find their cell phone.
That's not very nice.
That's what happened in Washington, D.C.
You can open your eyes.
You open your eyes now. So you would think. So if you had saw that kind of situation, what would you call that?
I mean, attempted murder.
You think attempted murder?
Yeah, attempted murder. I mean, at the very least, attempted grand theft auto, assault with a deadly weapon. Isn't pepper spray considered a deadly weapon, or is that its own like category?
It's its own. I don't know.
It's still an assault and battery. It's still attempted grand theft auto. It's still theft. It's still attempted murder. I mean, you did almost kill the guy,
right?
Or probably did.
Well, the guy did die, and I have to find. Here it is. So here is the way CNN ran with this story. Headline: Police said the girls, 13 and 15, assaulted an Uber Eats driver with a taser while carjacking him, which led to an accident in which he was fatally injured. Now, can you try to guess what the racial background was of these two girls, Jacob?
Probably not white.
They were black. And do you know who the guy that died, what his nationality was?
What, white?
He wasn't white.
Asian?
He was kind of Asian. So I believe...
Anti-Asian hate.
Actually, no, he wasn't Asian. I'm sorry. No, his name is Muhammad Anwar. He was 66 years old. So he's kind of a brownish kind of person.
Like olive-skinned?
Yeah. So you would think CNN would run with the story honestly and say, hey, 2 African-American girls killed brown guy because while they're carjacking, right? You would think, oh, this is legit attempted murder.
This is an easy one.
This is easy.
The video's right there.
The video, you can watch the video. But I want you to also remember that when Jacob Blake was shot, listen to the headline that they wrote for this guy. Jacob Blake, the 29-year-old black man who was shot 7 times by a white police officer who was responding to a domestic incident on August 23, 2020, has sued the officer for excessive force in federal court, records now show. Right? So if it's a white guy shooting a black guy, we have no problem calling out the race of these people. But if it's 2 black people assaulting a guy that's not white, the race really doesn't matter that much.
It's not that consequential.
It's not that big of a deal, right? And all the people, I watched the video. Unfortunately, I had to watch the video. It's very graphic and it's very disgusting.
Hard to watch.
The complete disregard for human life that these 2 idiots had. People were saying that, well, they were still kids. They didn't know what they were doing. I'm sorry. You carjack a guy with a taser and then basically throw him from the vehicle because you flipped it. You knew exactly what you were doing. And people say, well, they should have just let him take in his car. Oh, yeah, they should have. The Uber Eats driver, take my office place, please. Please take my only way of making money away from me. Yes, just take my car. Here's the keys. Take my car. Yeah, that's what he should have done.
That's what I'm going to say. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go rob a bank, and whenever the clerk has a shotgun behind me and blows my head off, they should be like, oh, just let him take the money, man.
Just let him take the money.
Take the money. What are you doing? That or whenever I shoot one of the people behind the desk, like, well, they should have given him the money.
They should have just given him the money.
I wouldn't have tried to kill this person. They didn't give me the money. I mean, this is a stupid thing to say. You know what? Do you know the only reason that this didn't end worse for those 2 girls is because they did it in D.C., where it is practically illegal to own a firearm. You try doing that in a place where a lot of people open carry, and a lot of people do concealed carry, especially in the South. Your life will be forever changed if you try to do that in a place where where folks are packing heat. So, lucky on them. Wasn't also the National Guard just like standing there?
Yeah. So where the crash happened, somehow there was just a whole bunch of National Guards troops there because, again, they're protecting the Capitol from white supremacy.
That's right.
So once the car flipped over, nobody rendered aid to the 66-year-old man that was laying there on the ground dying. They all pulled the girls away from the car because gas was leaking. Okay, fine, gas is leaking. That's fine.
Fair enough.
Get away from the car. But no one was like, oh, hey, these kids just killed this guy because they have such a lack of respect for human life because this guy wouldn't allow them to steal his car.
I know, right?
The gall,
the audacity.
the audacity of that 66-year-old man to not let someone steal his car. So I don't understand why people can be that stupid. I just don't get it. If that were your home, if that were your car, and someone was trying to carjack you, wouldn't you be like, okay, here's
It's not even that. If someone took your wallet out of your pocket or someone took your phone out of your pocket, and you decided to to retaliate as anybody would. If I was walking through a parking lot of Walmart or whatever, and someone tried to nab my phone, and I reacted in a way and said, "Oh, just let them take it." No.
Yeah.
No, let someone just take my phone because they feel like it. No, that's not how this works.
Yeah. So the only, I guess, the silver lining in all this is that those two girls were charged with felony murder and armed carjacking.
Good.
Police said. Now, my question is, where does a 13 and a 15-year-old get a taser these days?
I mean, you can buy them at a sporting goods store.
Right. So, and I do believe that those tasers are not regulated in the same way that firearms are because they're not technically a firearm, but they are regulated, and I do believe you have to be.
Yeah, you gotta be 18.
You gotta be 18 to buy one. So
because I bought pepper spray, you had to be 18 to buy.
Right. So how
spray.
a 13 and 15-year-old got a hold of a taser?
When we need background checks,
background
that would
checks
fix
on
it.
taser. That's right. That would have stopped
checks.
it.
That would have stopped her from getting it.
So, yeah. So there's a GoFundMe page for his family. He was an immigrant from Pakistan. They came here in 2014. He was a beloved husband, father, grandfather, uncle, and a friend who always provided a smile when you needed one. He leaves behind a family near and far who cherish, love, and miss him dearly.
So if you feel so compelled, you can donate. That would probably help.
Last I heard, the GoFundMe page was almost over $100,000.
Good.
It's almost at $1 million.
Well, good.
And
that'll help them.
Their goal was 100,000. It's at 988,000. So good for
that'll
for the family.
Help them with everything that they got to do from here on out.
So anyone that's again, he was an immigrant, right? Immigrants' lives matter. You know, he's a minority in this country. You would think that people would point that out. Nope.
The issue is that now if it was two white hooligans, two 13, 14-year-old boys, there'd be a question on toxic masculinity,
yes,
and a question on white supremacy. Did Donald Trump have an effect on these two boys?
Were they wearing MAGA hats?
Remember, this is CNN, right?
Yes.
the same news organization that had the whole Nicholas Sandmann thing.
Yes. The Parkland.
Yes. So, these Covington kids.
Yeah, Covington.
Remember, this is the same crew that ran through that and completely botched that, and now
had to pay a hefty lawsuit.
And now Nicholas Sandmann made more that year than any CNN exec, which I think is amazing and brilliant, and just the irony of that. And then here's them again getting another politically charged, race-baited story completely wrong. And it's not like a fault of like, oh, well, this is the bad take. No, they knew what they were doing. Mm-hmm. The entire video was out from the entire Covington kid. The entire video was out from this. They chose to run it like this. And now they're being ratioed, and good on it. And yet another example of why the corporate press is the enemy of the people, to comment and to quote Michael Malice, because it can't be more true than it is now.
That's right. So Muhammad Anwar, his life mattered, and if you disagree with that, you're a garbage human being. We will be right back here on a Good Friday, because it will actually be Good Friday for the Friday episode of this show.
It's going to be good.
Please follow us on the Tweety, join the website, become a Patreon member.
The shirts you can check out.
Go to our Teespring. Is it Teespring?
Teespring, yes.
See, towards the end of the episode, my brain just starts to lose cognitive function. Email us. I'm not even going to try it this time. Email us. They'll be in the description. Thanks for listening. Share the show. Like the show. Comment. Subscribe. Please leave 5 stars if you have the option to. And we'll see you guys later. And bye.
Tranquility Base here. The Eagle has landed. Roger, plane. Tranquility, we copy you on the ground. We got a bunch of guys about to turn blue. We're breathing again. Thanks a lot.